Hey there, listeners!
Heyo!
Welcome to Rhapsody and Reverie, episode 7!
Lucky number 7.
You took the words right out of my mouth and then messed them up.
Thank you and good night.
Anyway.
Boy, have we got a show for you.
Yeah. Let's talk about this artist. What was our hint?
Our hint, listeners, if you recall, was that the name of this band takes its name from an annual Spanish festival that takes place in the city of Pamplona. The band we're talking about today is
San Fermin!
Yeah! There we go. That one.
Yay!
Woo!
So, I will set the scene for y'all as to how this band entered our life. I discovered this band. It was probably either 2014 or 2015. I discovered the song Jackrabbit off of their album Jackrabbit. And I really liked it. More specifically, I knew Katarina was going to like it.
And she was right.
Yeah. So, yeah, I shared it with Katarina and she loved it. And it was similar to Bastille. Not as much as Bastille, but in similar ways. Like, San Fermin is very much a band that when I first heard it, it reminded me of Katarina. It felt very Katarina.
And again, I'm so honored. I'm really honored. This is a beautiful thing that's happening here, folks. Live. Well, not for you, but
yeah. No, but I mean, this is stuff that I don't think I've ever said this to you.
No.
But yeah, it was something that, like, when I listened to it, I was like, oh man, this definitely sounds like a song that Katarina would really love. And then, like, listening to them, like, it just, like, that association was just made from pretty much the first few instances, and has just carried through now. Whenever I listen to San Fermin, like, you're there in the back of my head, in a non-creepy way.
Anyway,
let's talk about San Fermin's debut self-titled album. This album I did not hear until much later. Because I never, like, here's the thing. So, like I said, I discovered Jackrabbit first, like, right around the time when that album came out, I believe. And
it was a little bit before, yeah.
Yeah, it was around that time. And so I really liked it, and I kind of just stayed with that album for most of my, like, time with San Fermin. Like, I was just kind of, like, solidly on that album. And then it took me until, I kind of want to say maybe, like, this year or, like, last year. It took me that long to actually go back and, like, listen to the first album. And as it is, I was listening to it today to prepare for this episode, and like my my feelings about it like changed so
Really?
much when I listened to it today. Yeah, cuz here's the thing. I didn't really what I like about the first album that I really sort of discovered and dug into today was just the operatic nature of it.
Yes.
Not just from like a vocal quality, but the construction of it. And you should have seen me today. I was literally going track by track on genius.com
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and I was reading through all of the lyrics and looking at all the annotations on the songs and just like piecing together this narrative
Yeah.
that he had constructed, and it was really fun and interesting to watch or listen to these characters be constructed and like expressed through song in a way that was very much like watching an opera. And
Yeah.
that's something that I didn't it's something that I was aware of before, but it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't something that I really appreciated until recently, especially today.
That's really cool, actually.
Thanks, fam.
Like I think that speaks to I don't presume to know what his intentions were in his storytelling. I don't know if he was like I don't know, just trying to put together this. If he was trying to present an opera with clear themes or something, or if he was doing something that was more personal to him. I don't know what the goal was, but I think the beautiful thing about all of San Fermin's albums is that they're all these constructed narratives that you're right are presented like operas, even though like the sound isn't necessarily there. Like with opera, there's certain tonal qualities you expect, blah blah blah, like whatever. But they are carried out like these big sweeping narratives, and they're really cool to listen to, like to dive in. Like to me, you either you either sit through the entire album in one go, or you have like two or three songs from the album and that's it.
Yeah.
Like I can't do one or the like I can't just shuffle it because
Oh
then the
yeah.
narrative is out of order.
Definitely. Definitely. Yeah. Cuz like I was definitely like that with Jackrabbit, and where I would listen to like one or two songs,
Mm-hmm.
or I just listen to the whole thing. And with Sanford, with the self-titled album,
Mm-hmm.
um, so far I've kind of just listened to the whole thing. Like I've
Yeah,
never just listened to one. I really think that that album in particular is one that you really have to listen to all the way through.
I
Like
agree.
there definitely are songs on here that I like and stand alone very well, but I think it's just so liter it it's so much a narrative, it's so much a story that it feels like picking up a book and flipping to a random page and
Yeah,
reading it.
yeah,
And it's like, and you can read it and you can be like, this is a great piece of writing, but I want more, or I need the context, I need the rest of it.
I need to know the full story.
Yeah, even if
Yeah,
you already know the story, you'll still you'll pick up a book and be like, but I want the experience of listening, or of having the whole story laid out for me the way it's supposed to.
exactly. And I love that all of the songs on this album in particular are so interdependent on each other. They continue, they pick up a story like from the beginning to the end. Like there are clear points in the story that you can point to going, this is the climax, this is where it starts, this is a conclusion of one narrative. Like you can see the rise and fall, just like analyzing the plot of any story, of any movie, whatever. I love the interdependency of this music. So I know this was an experimental thing. Like I know Mr. Ludwig Leone did not set out to write an album for a band. He just wanted to make a concept album and have like a 22-piece orchestra work on this album with different singers. Like, that's all he set out to do. He didn't mean to create a band, but thank you for deciding you wanted to tour and create a band in order to tour. How amazing is that? Oh, I mean, I didn't really want to make a band, but if I want to have this music go around the country, I guess I might as well. This might as well happen. Like,
it is pretty great. Have you listened by chance to the commentary that's on Spotify?
Yes.
It's so interesting.
Right?
It was so cool to actually, and I listened to all of it, and then I was a little mad that there wasn't one for Jackrabbit or Belong.
Yeah,
I want to know about everything.
I feel like artists don't put out commentary very often, and I really wish, if you guys are listening, I really wish you'd put out more commentary. I want to know what you're thinking. I want to know what you wanted. I mean, to an extent, yes, the art should speak for itself. I 100% agree with that. But I want to know the nitty gritty of it. I want to know, like, I want to know what you think.
Yeah. I don't know. For me, I feel like it helps me connect to a piece of art and knowing the origins of it. And I can still know the origin of a particular piece of art, music, whatever. I can know that origin and still withhold my own personal interpretation of it.
Yeah. And I think history and context do a service to listeners. For me, like let's say, yes, I'm going to compare San Fermin's music to classical music real quick. Just to those classical music snobs, bear with me. Number one, this album, I think, is on a scale that does rival classical music. I think he's doing something here that many classical musicians did, in my opinion. I think there's something to the scope of this that mirrors that. But sometimes I hear a piece of music and I think, okay, well, it's a beautiful piece of music, and that's it. Like, I can imagine images, or I can picture a scene, especially if it's something that was written for an opera or for a ballet. I can imagine in my head what's being conveyed. But when I study the history of it, or when I look at what the artist wrote about it, like, this is to be played at the so-and-so, whatever, then I get context to better shape my own views. Or maybe I had completely misinterpreted it. And now I get to go, oh, okay, it was actually that makes so much more sense.
This is a really great album, a really great concept album. I like concept albums. I miss concept albums. Not a lot of people do them, and do them well, in a way where it genuinely is a concept that's been constructed and thought through.
I respect that basically all San Fermin does is concept albums.
The last one, not so much.
The last one, not so much, but the first two were clear concept albums.
Definitely. The concept of this album, it's the sort of push and pull between these two, this male and this female character. And the man is kind of, I don't know, I guess he's kind of like an idealist when it comes to romance.
Yeah, for sure. He has his ideals of love, and he thinks that's how love is.
Yeah, and the female's basically just like, get it together.
I wouldn't even say that though. I feel like it's funny because she's just a straight up pessimist, where I don't get the feeling she believes in love. And while his search for true love is driving him into a state of depression, she's driven herself into depression by being with someone else that she doesn't love, and she's hoping she'll love eventually, but it's not happening.
Yeah. You know, it's something that I saw while I was reading through Genius annotations, like an obsessive today.
Mm-hmm.
The track "Oh Darling."
Yes.
Somebody made an annotation pointing out that the phrase "Oh darling, I've been so miserable" is a line from "The Sun Also Rises," said by the character Brett Ashley. And when I read that, I was like, that's so fitting.
Yeah.
Because when you think about the female character that's being portrayed in this self-titled album throughout all of these songs, it's very much like Brett in "The Sun Also Rises," at least from my perspective.
Oh no, I agree. I agree completely. That's who she is. Like, for those of you who haven't read "The Sun Also Rises," to make us a short story shorter. This is not a long book. It's really not. This Lady Brett Ashley is with somebody, even though she's not in love with him. She's in love with the main, with the narrator Jake, and yet she deprives herself of him.
Well, the problem with Brett.
I've oversimplified it.
Yeah, because the problem with Brett is that, like, you can't even really say that she's in love with Jake either.
Yeah. I was trying to, like, oversimplify it, but you're right. You can't really say that she's even in love with... She's in love with the idea of Jake, I think. But she's
like this character in San Fermin.
Yeah.
She's so just, like, far removed from the idea of love.
She's very cold and distant.
Yeah.
It's a shallow form of affection. Everything she does, she appears to be affectionate, but there is no substance there. I think the only difference... Well, I don't know. Do you think that the female character by the end of this album has changed? Because by the end of "The Sun Also Rises," you could argue that Lady Brett Ashley has evolved, has grown a little bit of depth.
A little.
But would you say that the female character grows by the end of this, or do you think she basically accepts her lot? She's self-aware enough to know what she's done to herself, and she just sort of accepts it.
I think at the very least, the idea of change is in her head.
Yeah, that's something.
Even if she hasn't necessarily changed, I think, because I mean, you have the last song on the album, "Altogether Changed," and
except
in that song, it's just like, "I've been altogether changed. You have no idea."
And that's it.
That's
all you get.
That's all you get. And, like, I kind of love that ending, because it's just, you're then just left to ponder, like, is it true?
Yeah.
Is this really true? I don't know if either of them really changed.
I think yeah, you're right. I think to an extent they do, but at the same time, I'm also getting a 500 Days of Summer feel, where he thinks he's changed,
Yeah.
and then it's like, I'm right back on my bullshit.
Yeah, but I think that's true to life, though.
Do you?
In a sense of, like, I don't mean that in, like, I don't
People
mean that
don't change.
I don't mean that as sort of as depressing as that sounded, but I do think that the myth that people just magically change in one fell swoop,
Yeah.
I don't think that is what Ludwig Leone is going for here.
Yeah.
I think what this presents is the beginning of change.
Yeah.
Because you have to start somewhere. So rarely does it ever happen where somebody is one way and then they magically are another way in a short period of time. And it's never a linear path to that other stage. There are always these, like, ups and downs and side roads and like, all these different paths to get to where you end up. So I think that's the point of it all in the end. That they've been confronted with their faults and flaws.
Yeah.
And now are on the path of figuring out how to be better.
Yeah, because I feel by the end of it, you get the feeling of their relationship, or they've never been in a relationship, but the relationship as it stands is ending. At least that's what I got from it.
They kind of diverge at the end.
And I feel like it's part of his realization is he can't rely on his ideals of love anymore. Also, I think it's so funny that we've compared the female character to Lady Brett. The male character's Jake too, in a way.
Yeah, in some ways.
This whole album is just The Sun Also Rises, the musical.
I love that.
And I just realized, oh my god, in the song Casanova, I think it's the second verse where he goes, "Spider got me when I was 16. You remember? The boxer from The Sun Also Rises.
Name Spider?
Well, the boxer that trains the kid Jake beat up.
Oh, that's funny.
Right? He knew what he was doing. Ludwig Leone. Okay, so what are your favorite songs?
Okay. I really like Sunsick.
Mm-hmm.
The sort of lead single on that album. I like that song. There are these feelings of like terror.
Yes.
In that song to me, and like fear and paranoia, and I really dig that. Maybe that's dark, but I appreciate an artist that can like really explore and play with feelings of terror or fear. But I also like Methuselah.
That's a really nice song.
It's sad.
Yeah.
And it's this sort of like, it's a really interesting sadness and just so well named. Methuselah, again, in preparation for this episode, me doing all kinds of research and stuff, Methuselah is said to be the oldest person, according to the Old Testament. And so having that context with the song just makes it that much more heavy.
Yeah.
Just this idea of just loneliness and sadness and just feeling like all your loved ones have gone and left you and you're all alone and you have no one. Like, just imagine being the oldest person. Imagine having outlived everyone. The isolation. That kind of isolation is unsettling. And weirdly, it happens. It's not like it's a foreign concept.
Oh no, it happens every day.
I was talking to my grandmother not too long ago. My grandmother loves telling stories about family. It's grandmothers, I'm sure, want to do, I suppose. But yeah, she was telling me about growing up in Georgia, and then at one point she just said, yeah, all my cousins are gone now.
Wow.
And she had been talking about how close she was to her family and her cousins growing up and all the fun they used to have. She's like, yeah, most of them are gone. And her brother had died recently.
So sad.
Yeah. And I remember sitting there and just feeling so heartbroken for her. Like, it was such a sadness that I couldn't comprehend because it hasn't happened to me yet. It's gotta be weird to just, like, people that you love so deeply, people that you have this love that's ingrained into every fiber of who you are, like that kind of love, and then having those people not be around anymore. Like, it's an unfathomable feeling for me at this current stage in my life, and probably for many other people. And the fact that San Fermin is able to explore that feeling in a song is something that I've never really heard or experienced. So I really like Methuselah for, at the very least, attempting to put that feeling into a form that I can digest.
Yeah.
Whoa, that was deep. That Oh god.
Whew. Well, I think that's what this band does to you.
Yeah, it really does. It just in general though, like that's just a really nice song to listen to. Cause like as sad as it can be, it's also kind of, I don't know. There's something comforting about sadness sometimes.
It's also just really nice musically.
Yeah, it's just a beautiful piece.
Yeah. That was 2, right? Sunsick, yes. Methuselah.
And I guess I'll go with Daedalus, what we have.
Okay.
There's a specific, like, verse in that song that I just really like. And just in general, I like it, and I think it's a very good closing song for that album. Because, again, this album's just so perfectly complete as a concept, and he finishes it so beautifully with that song. I just really like the line, what we have instead of God. Like, I just think that's a really compelling, like, concept. This search for something higher that can amount to the sort of majesty of God. I don't know a better word than majesty, but like just the same sort of reverence that people place on God, finding something that large. Yeah, I think that's a really cool, interesting concept and phrase, and I really like that song. Okay, what are your favorites off this album?
This is a difficult one. Again, because it's like it's picking pieces from a narrative. It's like, which page of this book was your favorite page?
Yeah.
I'm gonna say the first one is Torero.
Okay.
There's something very frantic about the overall energy, but it's still very melodic. It makes me think of a bullfight in a weird way. And I again going to the whole interdependency in the songs and repeated themes. I like that I can't fall asleep in your arms is repeated in this song and throughout many others. And there's something about that phrase that's very fascinating to me. Like to be with someone you're supposed to want to be with, and yet you're not comfortable with them. Like to me, if you're comfortable with somebody, if you love somebody, you should be able to, like that, if you're comfortable, fall asleep in their arms. Like it's a very romantic thing to do. It's a very intimate thing to do. In a way more so than other physical activities involving intimacy. And yet this person can't bring themselves to do this. It's a show of vulnerability that this person can't display. And this song is almost about dancing around their vulnerabilities, like all of their personal pains to me. And is some of it their fault? The speaker's fault? Probably. Like it opens with them dancing for your pleasure and falling for your pain. You shouldn't have to do that for anybody. Number one.
Yeah.
But it's so beautifully written. I don't know. There's something about escaping your pain that entrances me. And that's all I have to say about that song. Other favorite song, I'm gonna go with Bar.
Okay.
Yeah. Just because I really like the energy of that song. I really, again, there's this bridge of it's a thrill like a drug in your arms, make you weep when you're young, but it's not love. So again, this is it's like a step closer from what we had in Torero, where now at least I'm comfortable being in your arms and it's a thrill to be a part of you, to be intimate with you, but it's not love. Don't mistake this for actual love, which is a freaky thing in a way. And I really like that at the end, that bit with in the dead of the night, all alone with the tigers, wearing the lives we laid out for ourselves. That's cool too. I'm just gonna say it's cool. It's a cool song. And I had one more. I'm gonna go with Renaissance because I think that's it's such a melodramatic portrayal and insight into the male character's views on love. Like, please come wake me up. Right? Like, wake me up with your love. I'm on a stage. I'm stuck here in this performance. I'm performing for you. This is like a nightmare. Wake me up with your love from this terrible reality. And then, of course, the next song is the female character going, I wouldn't worry.
I love the line, your melodramas are embarrassing.
Right? I love the contrast. I love the contrast so much.
Right.
It's almost funny, but it's also sad.
It's hilarious and sad. I laugh.
But I like how this song sounds. I like how beautifully soaring the music is in this song. And it sets you it almost sets the tone for the album to be one way, and then the juxtaposition of it with the next song, it's like, oh no, the album is this other way. It's so fascinating to me. I don't know. Those are my 3 favorites. I'm gonna leave it at that.
Anyway, we will move on now to Jackrabbit.
Woohoo!
And I really love this album. So here's the thing, and I've had this kicking in my head for all day.
Okay.
So this album, much like the self-titled album, is a concept album.
Yes.
And it's a really interesting one for me, because it's kind of like, it centers around these questions of life and death. And when I was listening to it today, I was listening to The Woods, which is the first song on the album. And on that song, it's like 2 children go into the woods and 1 comes out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it basically, somebody dies in the woods, which is a very fun, lighthearted way to start an album. But while I was listening to the album today, I was stuck on this idea that on this album you have a male character and a female character again. And in my head, the way I imagine it is the male character is the boy that dies in the woods.
Yes.
And throughout the album, he's haunting the female character as she grows up.
Interesting.
And
that's kind of how I took it.
That's how I took it. So yeah, I wanted to know what your thoughts were on it, because that's kind of the way it feels. It feels like all the female character songs,
yeah,
feel like a woman who's afraid and is erratic. She feels haunted. She feels like she's running from something. Like,
yeah,
you hear Jackrabbit, which is the first song I heard, and it's probably still one of my all-time favorites. Not probably, it is. In that song, it's literally her just saying run, just run. she's just like, you need to run away, you need to leave, get out. That's why when I heard the song for the first time, that's what really stuck out to me and what I really gravitated towards. That feeling of just wanting to just run away.
Yeah.
When things are just so tough. And I've always liked that imagery on that song. But yeah, you take that and then bring in this element of her potentially being haunted by this dead child. Like, it takes on this whole new interesting life. And you have a song, like Philosopher, which is another one of my favorites. I love that song because it feels like she's dreaming, or just like she's thinking about a life she could have had if things were different. You know? At least that's kind of how I feel about that song.
I agree.
She's thinking about all the things that she would do, that she could be, that she could say if life wasn't the way it was. And I also really love that song too, for that reason. Because I feel like those are such, like, universal themes. You know, I think everybody does that. They have those moments where they think about all these wonderful things they could be and they could have done. And you just, sometimes when life is rough, you just sit there and you think, you know, I could have been an astronaut. I could have been a pilot. I could have been, like, I could have done this. I could have said hi to that man or that girl. I could have taken that job that I really wanted. Like, you just sit there and you sort of look back on your life, and you just, like, have all these what ifs, and then you get to the sort of towards the end of the song, it sort of, like, reaches this climax where she says, I'm getting all excited now, but it's only for a moment. And you can't hurt, but you can't hold, I think is the line, or something. But it's just like, she just feels like everything's so out of reach because of everything else going on in her life. And so she can think about all these great things, but it's just for a moment, and it's so fleeting.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I feel like that's a huge central theme to this album. It's the what ifs. Like, if I had done this differently, my life would have been so much better. And I don't know if necessarily it's characters trying to reflect personal responsibility for how their lives have turned out. But yeah, you're right. There's, like, this huge theme of, wow, I wish this one moment had been different.
Yeah. And I think it's I think the male character's perspective on it is really interesting, because within my interpretation and the interpretation that we sort of talked about of him being this sort of ghost, almost, it's like, it's interesting to think about him watching a life and dreaming of a life that he's never had. He's never been able to have.
Yeah.
Never been able
that he was robbed of, arguably.
Yeah. I think that's so, it's scary, and it's enticing.
Okay, but the super goth aesthetic of this album is partly why I love it so much.
Yeah.
Like,
there's totally.
Not to be that person whose whole identity is I love Halloween.
But it is.
Because they no they exist. But a lot of this album is so very haunting in more ways than one. Like, I like the the overt, almost spooky aspect of it. Like the first song opens with kids getting murdered in the woods by witches. That's what? What? A woman with not literally, but if you want to interpret it literally, I'm sure you could, with parasites for hands, sucking all the life and love out of this man.
Oh, parasites is oh my god.
In a way, it's a banger, and in another way, it's scary.
Oh my god.
Right? Because in that one, it's interesting because in this song, the woman is the toxic member of this love affair, and it's
But is she?
I feel like that's, yeah, you're right. Maybe there's an ambiguity to it, but I get the feeling based on what she's saying versus what he's saying. I got the feeling from, for a while at least, that that she is taking what she can from him and will eventually leave him.
See, like I agree with that, and then there's also a part of me I see it on this flip side of where it's not so much that she is a parasite, but she feels like one.
Okay.
And
well, I mean that was probably what it meant, but there's some really creepy imagery where if you decided to take it literally, this woman's got leeches on her head. I don't know.
Yeah, but it's like just this idea that because I think again it sort of plays into like everything leading up to this and her own sort of just feeling so doubtful of herself and her position, so afraid of everything in her life. I think that there's an anxiety in this song, and it's manifesting in this just feeling like all she is a parasite taking from everyone. Just feeling like she is nothing but this vessel that just needs to leash on to anything that she can get. And yeah,
I like the continuation of the witch imagery almost, because I don't know, part of me always viewed this album as like you said, this girl being haunted by the man who was killed in the beginning. But it was almost like a rite of passage, right? Like, I don't know, what if she sees herself as a witch, almost, and she sees herself as doing harm now in every relationship she's ever had because of that first encounter, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of I agree with that, although I didn't necessarily see her as feeling like a witch, but I kind of almost felt like she, like, because for me, I always felt like this male character is haunting her, and and in a way is living vicariously through her,
okay,
and through her experience, and I think because of that, she feels guilty almost, and haunted by the fact that she's bringing this second person along with her for the ride in everything that she does, and she can't escape it. And so when she goes to do anything, be in a relationship, be intimate with people, form relationships, go to a party, things like that, anything, like, she carries this other person with her, and she can't shake him, and that gotta feel weird. How do you connect
that
with the
probably
world?
That backs up the theme of Jackrabbit, I think, really well.
Yeah.
Like, the song, not the overall album. Although it could apply.
Yeah.
Before I run away on a whole tangent, like, the whole point of Jackrabbit's song is, she's running from something, right? Like we've clarified that it's about running away.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel in a way, if we take it from your perspective that she is being haunted by this male character and that he's living through her and they're just tied together now forever,
Mm-hmm.
that she's speaking to him.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like if like from the beginning, it's if you die you just get old. Like your mother, your father too, all grown up, but they're just like you, and you're gonna do it all in that. It's almost like she's telling him to go away.
Yeah.
Like life is, you're not missing anything. Get off my back. And she's trying to run from this entity that has latched itself onto her soul or something, figuratively or literally. Because she's definitely running away from her problems and running away from her life, blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
But it's almost like to her, like life doesn't matter. Like either way, like life doesn't matter. And then she's talking about living like an animal, and how she's literally a jackrabbit. So there's like this frantic energy going on here. That's
Yeah.
I don't know. She's trying to make progress in society and like rejoin it from being so anxious and so afraid. But every time she does, something sets her off and she has to like run away again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think what's interesting too is that like you have parasites and it's
Mm-hmm.
this sort of like it's this sort of interplay between the two of them going back and forth. And then it goes into reckoning. And in
Yeah.
reckoning, it almost feels like the male character sort of apologizing for everything.
Which is funny, because what does he have to apologize for? He got murdered.
That's fair. But but that's interesting. It's just like he reaches this moment of just like, oh, maybe I've actually really screwed up her life. Like, oh.
It's funny because like the genius notations are about him coming to a revelation that he is wasting his time on Earth, and that he's thanking his lover, and he's starting to like reconcile with the fact that he's depressed.
Mm-hmm.
Which it still sort of fits in with this story that you and I think is definitely there, of this ghost, this haunt that's realizing, oh, the fact that I'm still hanging around is ruining you.
Yeah, like
Whoops.
maybe it's time for me to leave.
And yet I don't think he does.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
I will take that back. I think he leaves by 2 scenes. Or perhaps Billy Bibbit.
Oh, Billy Bibbit.
I'm kind of bummed that he didn't end the album with 2 scenes, because something about 2 scenes was very final. Right?
A little bit.
There was something, it sounded like a concluding song. There was that big build up, and then the swelling of the orchestra, and then it came down, and it ended with that this very like, and I was like, is this the end? Like, this felt like the end.
It feels like an end. But I think you could view it as like that being in the end, and then Billy Bibbit and Hallie Clone Days, which is only like, it's not that long or something.
No, it's like
30 seconds.
It's an instrumental piece.
Yeah, but you could view 2 scenes as the end, and then those last 2 songs as like an epilogue. In some ways.
That's true. Now, I never read One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. I've never seen it. So it went completely over my head that this whole song was a reference to that.
Yes.
I
love that book. It's a good read.
It's on my list. It's on my list of things to read eventually.
Yeah.
But in a way, like I know the song switches off between a man and a woman. But maybe it's like her older self, and of course his being dead, looking back on when they were both children in the woods and saying, yeah, bad things happen, but you should still love people. And you should love yourself. And you should love each other. Peace out.
Maybe. Yeah. I don't know. Well,
but then again, her bridge is so pessimistic. Right?
Yeah. Here's the thing. Because I don't necessarily want to spoil it.
Just say it.
Okay.
The book was written how many years ago?
Spoiler alert. If you want to read One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, like, just mute for a bit. I'll in the show notes I'll leave like a note of when I stop talking about the spoiler.
Yeah.
But anyway, Billy Bibbit was one of the patients in the psych ward in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. He is weirdly attached to his mom. But he ends up losing his virginity, and then one of the nurses in the hospital threatens to like tell his mom about what happened, and
that's crazy.
He ends up having an emotional breakdown and commits suicide.
Oh no.
Yeah.
What?
So the bridge of this song, when she's like, Billy, we're all gonna die, so I wouldn't try to force it, I feel like is a reference to the suicide. Of like, look, we're all gonna die, why take it upon yourself? And then the bridge continues, you're living in your mind, you have to get out of your mind. I think a lot of that has to do with him just feeling so afraid of what his mother would say and how his mother would feel.
And I just want to point out, again, going back to our discussion about context, prime example, because I didn't know what the hell I don't know.
Yeah.
My interpretation was way off.
Not off, just different.
Yeah, but again, I like that the context added different layers and actually made the song make sense.
Yeah.
In a way. Like, it made sense before, without the context, but it makes extra sense now.
Yeah, it definitely makes a lot more sense within the context of the song when you know who Billy Bibbit is.
The whole album has this two characters looking for acceptance in all the wrong places, and it ends with them having to accept their situation and their choices and like all the bad things that have happened to them, all the choices they've made that were bad. But I feel like you're left with the impression that they're supposed to heal from it. Like, I think the ending of this album is more positive than their self-titled album, but I could be wrong.
I think so. I like, as kind of dark as the context around Billy Bibbit is, I do think it's a weirdly positive song.
Yeah.
In the sense of there's a weird sort of peace to it.
There's something really nice, let me tell you, about just listening to that song. And again, because I only learned the context like 10 minutes ago, that message is something I think sometimes everybody needs to hear once in a while. That, like, the whole give in to love thing. Because I feel like a lot of people are afraid of getting hurt, so they don't open themselves up to the idea of being in love.
Yeah.
So it's nice to be told to let yourself be vulnerable. I don't know. That's initially, like, when I first heard the song, that's what I took away from it. And it's a really nice song to me to just, like, to meditate, to reflect on my own shortcomings emotionally and to like think, yeah, you know, this is something we should all do, to be more open and to just give into love.
Yeah.
I like it. There's something wonderful about San Fermin that it can spark all of these different threads that you can follow down the rabbit hole. Ah ha ha.
A rabbit hole.
The whole album is so much cool. Like, look, it's a great album, but it's even cooler when you read it as this ghost is possessing this girl, and he's been possessing her since day one.
It's so fun. I hope that's what he meant. San Fermin.
I hope
Ludwig
Leone. Ellis. Can we call you Ellis?
Are we on first name basis?
I hope you reevaluate what you meant. No.
If you're out there, just let me know if that's what you meant. That she's a ghost.
And if it's not, will you pardon us for our too spooky interpretation of it?
Yeah. And if it is, just let me know, because I want to know. And
I want to know.
And if it is, can somebody make that a musical? Because I would watch that.
Can I do it?
Dude, let's make
I want it.
Jackrabbit.
I want to.
Literally, we have
if
all
you
the
let
songs.
me write the script.
We have all the songs.
If you let me write the script, San Fermin, Ellis, if you let me write the script, I promise you we can be off Broadway in 2 years. Get in touch. I swear to God. Look, I'm already...
She'll write it. I'll produce it. It'll be done.
Come on, Ellis. Come on.
Please.
Call me up. Contact us. We have a work email. This could be amazing.
It would be so cool.
But no, I mean... Oh, what could be? Please, Ellis, we are willing to talk about...
Oh, God. Okay.
Favorite. It could be really cool.
Favorite songs.
Favorite songs. Okay, I'll go first. This is really hard because this is, I think, my favorite album that they've done.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so top 3. I feel like we've talked about all of these songs in depth, so I'm not going to talk about them more than just mentioning their names.
Yeah.
The Woods.
Mm-hmm.
I really like. It's on my Halloween playlist.
Ooh, spooky.
Spooky. Jackrabbit.
Mm-hmm.
And oddly enough, Two Scenes.
Okay. Alright. It's a good song.
Two Scenes gets me out of my depressive slumps. It's probably not meant to, but it does.
But it does.
Your turn.
Okay. Jackrabbit. Obviously. Philosopher. Definitely. And Parasite. This one's really easy for me, surprisingly. Although, I mean, I do really, really have a soft spot for Billy Bibbit. That would be my only, that'd be my tied for third.
My honorable mention is Reckoning, because shout out to that violin solo.
Oh, yeah. So good.
That song makes me think of olden times.
The olden days.
The old days. I don't know. It's very 1700s to me. That's a very 1700s song.
Mm-hmm.
I picture a duel. I don't know. I don't know.
Duel. Yeah.
Anyway, again, Ellis, get in touch. We'll talk. Moving on to their third album, Belong, which was released. Last year, and also broke away from the whole concept album process.
Mm-hmm.
He says that in the past he used to write through characters, but now that he's more confident as a songwriter, he wants to drop some of the artifice and be more direct, which is interesting. Like, this is him being more personal. Something I find ironic, considering he does not sing his own songs.
If anything, it makes the project all that more interesting to me.
It definitely does. It makes it's so fascinating to me.
Yeah. But yeah, so Belong Yeah, this is definitely more like your traditional album experience. I think there's a slight thematic general feel, but not like an actual story or concept.
Oh yeah, like the theme is anxiety.
Yes.
Like the theme is people who have been fighting certain emotions or denying their anxiety having it bubble up at really inopportune moments.
Mm-hmm. I think it does a good job of capturing that feeling, specifically Better Company.
Mm.
That song to me is something that I relate to so strongly as somebody who, I mean, I will say this as someone who does struggle with anxiety. Um, there's so much of my life where be I'll be in a particularly bad sort of moment and I'll just think about how I wish I could get my life together and I wish I wasn't this way. and you just and you just wish that you could just have somebody that can just like make it all better. You want that sort of cure all kind of person that can just tell you what to do. Something like there's a part in the song where he's just like, take me to the movies, ask me if I've left the house, keep me from like just mundane, stupid things that you don't think about. But honestly, like there are days where I just wish somebody would just like be like, hey, did you remember to take out the trash? Or like, hey, did you leave your house today? Things like that. I like yeah, I listened to this song and I was just like, wow, that's that's hitting that that yeah.
I'm so sorry.
I mean, don't apologize. It's fine. Like it's fine. I mean, it's fine. It's fine. Um, no, but it's a good song. It it's something that um he lays that feeling bare very well. Um, he really sums it up in a way that I've never been able to.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it it's hard. Like, just the line, "Oh, I wish I kept myself a little better company." Like,
Yeah.
I've never had words for that, but it's just like, yeah, like I wish I could like be better for myself. I wish I could. I wish I could do things and maintain my life better. Um, but yeah, there's so much anxiety on this album.
Yeah, they're really. I also think this is the first album they've made where there's no just purely instrumental track.
Yeah,
I don't know how I feel about that because I honestly really love the instrumental tracks.
yeah, I
Like,
appreciate it.
yeah.
I appreciate it because um, mainly because I appreciate the fact that he's allowing himself to explore his own mind as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to the mind of these characters. Which, I mean, to an extent, by exploring those characters and those concepts, he is exploring his own mind. But I think this album along is doing it in a much more stream of consciousness, personal way, where he's really sort of confronting his own self, and I think that's important. to do,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to just relying on a concept to explore. Um, but again, like, I love the concepts, so I would never be mad if he just only did concept albums. But I'm also happy that
Yeah.
he took the risk of doing something on his own, or not on his own, but like outside of a concept kind of thing.
Interesting. Okay.
Why?
I don't know. Interesting seems to be my go-to response this episode. I'm sorry. Everything about this band is interesting. I don't know. I also respect the risk. Cause I know my thing too is that while I bemoan the loss of the concept album, I know that if all they did was concept albums, you're right. I would be like, this is all. But I don't know.
Yeah. I mean,
he knows his band. He knows what he's doing. I have to trust.
so it feels like this album didn't really resonate with you as much.
No, it did.
Okay,
It did.
all
I don't
right.
want to. That's my. I realize now that like I know how that sounded, but I actually really liked. I really enjoyed this album. I was really excited when it first came out. That there was new music. It was really good.
Okay. Maybe we should just move on to favorite songs.
Let's just move on.
Okay. Okay, so my favorite songs are probably Bones, because
Okay.
that song has R&B vibes and I appreciate that.
Fair.
And I also really like Better Company for reasons I have already stated.
Mm-hmm.
And I like August.
Yeah.
I really like August. I think it's such a like dark way of talking about the wasting away of summer.
That's fair.
It's just like, in an August throb of light, I watch it die.
Yeah.
And then the like bridge where it's just like, you killed another one. You killed another one,
Yep.
honey. And I feel like I relate to that, because it's just, there'll be days that'll pass by and I'll just feel like I literally wasted it in a way that almost feels so like final and definitive. Like, I just let that day slip away, kind of thing.
Yep.
And yeah, so I like that song, and I like that imagery, as dark as it is. This episode is proving to be a lot darker than I expected it to be.
Yeah, I thought we were gonna like gush over how unique and odd they were, and like.
And we did, but also.
We. Nah.
All right.
Okay. So
your favorite song.
My favorite song. My favorite songs. Okay. So my favorite songs are also August. For similar reasons. I didn't just see it as wasting summer, though I can definitely agree that there's something about wasting summer that gives you this special kind of anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
Feeling that summer is slipping away. And maybe it's because I just got out of school and learned the value of a summer vacation. Maybe it's because of experiences with winter, and I really don't want to have the winter return. But to me, it's also just, again, the feeling of you're wasting your life, just killing days, and that thought is kind of suffocating.
Mm-hmm.
I also really like Bride,
Mm.
just because of how theatrical it is almost. And I really like the imagery that it's portraying. Like, it's it's supposed to be this great day, this perfect day, and then that's the moment where it's like, oh, brain has decided this is not what you want after all, and like all of the tension, all of the high strung emotion that you've been suppressing has just popped up, and it's tempting to say at an inopportune moment, but what better time to snap out of something than right before you get married?
Yeah, I mean,
Think about it. If you had gone through with it and then realized you were miserable, that would have been terrible.
I mean, I guess technically our marriage is saved.
Oh god. Shit.
Well, this calls for a toast. Pour the champagne. Pour the champagne.
Okay.
I chime in with the.
Oh boy.
Sorry, I'm done. I'm done.
Third one is gonna be No Promises.
Yeah.
I think it's funny because he says he wrote it for his bandmates.
Mm-hmm.
And that the bridge is just a rapid fire list of things that they've had to do.
Yeah.
And like I think that's, in a way, it's funny. But I respect the whole theme of it being scared of disappointing the people who are dependent on you and people who love you.
Mm-hmm.
And I really respect that. And I also really just like the rhythm of the song. I just really like the sound of it, to be honest.
Yeah, it's a good one. So we like to keep things interesting here at Rhapsody and Reverie. And we thought we should bring some new flavors to our podcast. Is we talk about the music that the artists that we love. And that's fun, but we also want to share some new music that we're falling in love with as we speak.
Who are our up-and-comers that we wanted to give shout-outs to?
So the first band that we want to give a shout-out to is Thrill Chasers. So they have a song, Emptiness, that was the first song that I heard of theirs that I really like. I like them. They've got a little bit of an 80s vibe.
Now they did change their name. If you were a listener prior, then you'd know that they started as American Wolves, but they are not anymore. So if your friends ever recommended that band, then you know. And you can follow them at Thrill Chaser stylized THRILLCHSR on Twitter.
Yeah. But yeah, definitely check them out. Emptiness is a good song. It's got some Tool drums at the beginning. And I am all about that rhythm section. So check them out. The next band we want to give a shout out to is Loyals, which I discovered whilst strolling through Twitter and also trolling Spotify. They have a song. Actually, the first song I heard of theirs was "Bail Out," which is a great song. And it's the perfect song for when you're just like, forget everything, I'm leaving. But they also have a song called Skyline that's really cute, and it's like really cute. For all those hopeless romantics out there that just fall in love at first sight, Skyline's the song for you. They've got a record that just came out in February, self-titled. So give them a listen. They're also on Twitter.
They are at Loyals Band on Twitter.
Yeah.
So Give them a follow.
Send them some love. Let them know that Rhapsody and Reverie sent you.
Yes, do it. And let us know what you think of them. If you liked them, if you didn't like them, like, let us know. Let us know if we put you on the right path to new good music. I'm trying.
You know, just see if it strikes your fancy. Let us know.
Yeah. If it floats your boat, leave us a note.
There you go. But yeah, and we're gonna be doing this segment
from now
on. So, you know, if you want to send us cool new music, that's also dope too, because I always like new music.
Yeah, if you're part of the band and you think you're good,
you think you got what it takes,
impress me.
Good luck.
Good luck. No, but seriously, if you are curious about getting a shout out, let us know. Send us a message, and we'll shout you out.
Yeah, we like doing shout outs. I like that. This is fun.
Yeah. We like giving the spotlight. So, with what little audience we have.
Yeah. Seriously.
We have little influence. But boy, do we act like tyrants.
It gives me an excuse to listen to a bunch of new music. Because, like, as I said, like, I've been listening to Loyals and Thrill Chaser on and off for the past, like, week. So it's nice to be able to share it. So yeah. But with that out of the way, we've reached the end of our San Fermin episode.
A wonderful, deep and dark stroll through the scary woods of Ellis Ludwig Leone's mind. And maybe our minds. Yes. We don't know yet. A lot happened.
This was an episode. This was the conspiracy theory episode.
Ugh, I love it though.
Like
my fox Mulder came out to play.
This is we're that Charlie Day picture.
Yes. Yes. I'm gonna tweet that out.
Yeah. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. Follow us on Twitter.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Okay, negative Nancy.
I'm sorry.
If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything.
Don't say it at all.
Okay. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram at Rhapsody Podcast for Twitter and Instagram. Subscribe to us on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Podbean. Listen to us there. Leave a rating there. Leave us a review. We want people to talk to us.
Visit our website.
Yeah, visit our website.
You can listen to our episodes there too. If you don't feel like attaching yourself to any particular platform, you can stream our episodes from our website.
Yep, they're right there. Literally, you go to our website, you type in rhapsodyandreverie.com. The first thing you see is our latest episode. And you can just push play right there. So,
yep.
You have no excuses. Listen to it.
No excuses.
Listen to it somewhere.
Eat your vegetables. Wake up early. Listen to this podcast.
But yeah, so definitely do that. And as always, keep it locked on our website for updates. And now it is time to tease our episode for next week. So give us a hint master.
The hint for this week is that this band once collaborated on a song in 2011 with an artist that we have already covered.
Ooh. Mystery.
There we go. Now, if you've been following along, maybe you can guess, because I'm pretty sure we actually talked about this in that episode. Mm-hmm. But, if you haven't listened to that episode, this will be difficult for you. But anyway, that's the hint. Tune in on Wednesday. It's usually this week was a little off.
Tune into our Twitter.
Yeah, tune into our Twitter for Wednesday guest day, because that's the day where number one, I rehash the hint to give you in this episode, and then I give you extra hints. And if you guess correctly, we give you a shout out.
With our hint concluded, all that's left to do is say goodbye. So bye. So long. Farewell. Auf Wiedersehen, good night.
Auf Wiedersehen, good night.
We're
not gonna sing?
Dubstep remix.